Good afternoon. I'm Mrs. Bolin, and I'm helping you review for your college algebra exam. We are on the review 1, problem number 15. So problem number 15. And it says solve the quadratic equation by factoring. So it is x squared, squared plus 2x minus 24 equals 0. Okay, so that's the equation. And since it's said by factoring, we don't have to worry about does it factor or not. It's going to factor. So step 1 is always put down your parentheses. I know that sounds silly, but it is the first step. The second step is evaluate your leading coefficient of your leading term. And if a is equal to 1, then the next step is going to be just put an x here and an x here, because our leading coefficient is 1. So we just put x times x is going to give us our x squared. The next thing we want to look at is our sign in front of our c right there. Okay, so since that is a negative, that means we have to have opposite signs. So we know that 1 is going to be a positive and 1 is going to be a negative. Okay, now we need to find the factors of 24. So we're going to write 24 right here, and we're going to write down all the factors. 1 and 24 is a factor. 2 and 12 is a factor. 3 and 8 is a factor. 4 and 6 is a factor. And those are all of the factors. Now, look, we have opposite signs. We have a negative and a positive. So we have to see, is there any way that we can add and subtract these factors right here to get a difference of positive 2. So if we have a positive 2, that means the larger number is going to be positive. So we're going to look at our larger numbers over here on the right hand side, and we're going to subtract the other part of the factor and see if it equals 2. So 24 minus 1 is 23. That does not equal 2. 12 minus 2 is equal to 10. Nope. 8 minus 3 is 5. That does not equal 2. Then we have 6 subtract 4. That does equal 2. So we know that our factors for this problem right here are going to be the 6 and the 4. With the 6 being positive, oops, wrong color. Let me try that again. Where 6 is positive and the, oops, not 2, but 4 is negative. Okay, so we can check our work if we want to, and if you have time on the exam, it's always encouraged to go ahead and check your work. So if I wanted to check my work, I would say is x plus 6 times x minus 4. Does that equal our original quadratic equation? So x times x is x squared. X times negative 4 is negative 4x. 6 times x is plus 6x. 6 times negative 4 is negative 24. And so we combine our like terms, we end up with x squared. Now we have negative 4x plus 6x gives me plus 2x, subtract 24. And sure enough, it equals the one right up here. So we know we have the correct factors. Now that we know that we have the correct factors, we're going to set each factor equal to 0. And so we end up with x plus 6 is equal to 0, and x minus 4 is equal to 0. And we'll solve for x on both of these scenarios. So the first one, we're going to subtract 6 from both sides, and we end up with x is equal to negative 6. Over here on the right hand side, we're going to add 4 to both sides, and we get x is equal to positive 4. So these are the solutions that make this equation right here true. So when we plug in negative 6 into x up here, the equation equals 0. When we plug in 4 into the equation up here, it equals 0. So let's go ahead and verify that real quick just to make sure. So let's first do x equals negative 6. So we're going to say let x equal negative 6. Okay, so we're going to find f of negative 6, and that's going to be equal then to negative 6 squared plus 2 times negative 6 minus 24. And the question is does that equal 0? That's the question. Okay, so 6 times 6 is 36. 2 times negative 6 is negative 12 minus 24. Sure enough, we end up with the fact that this equals 0, so we have 0 equals 0. So that we know that x equals negative 6 is indeed a factor of x squared plus 2x minus 24 equals 0. So that is a factor of that quadratic equation because it satisfies the equation. Let's go ahead and check the next equation, or the next solution, which was that x equals 4. So we're going to say let x equal, was that positive or negative 4? Positive 4. So equal positive 4. So that's going to be finding f of 4. Come on, computer, please work with me. Which is going to be equal to 4 squared plus 2 times 4 minus 24. And the question is does that equal 0? Okay, so that's the question. So we end up with 16 plus 8 minus 24. Does that equal 0? Sure does. 0 equals 0. So we check that off. If I can get my ink to... Interesting. Okay, let's hope that this is not a problem that's going to stick around. Here we go. So that is equal. So therefore, we know that indeed x equals 4 is also a solution to our original equation right here. Alrighty, if you have any questions, let me know. Send me an email. Look forward to hearing from you.